All right, students, it is Wednesday. We are back with literature. How many of you enjoyed last class and understanding the importance and the thankfulness that we should have for God's Word? I was just thinking about that this week after we had our class and everything, just how wonderful it is to have God's Word in our hands whenever we want it. Man, sometimes I think we take some things for granted. Get out your Mary Johnson Bible. This is going to be literature number 7. We're doing chapter 1, scene 3, and so we're going to open up to page 15 because that's where we left off. Now remember, after you read today, I want you to take your literature book and stick this book in your multi-letter binder or your multi-subject binder. Bring your literature book to school Friday, okay? Everybody, bring your literature book to school on Friday. If it's not here, I'm going to have to call your parents and tell them that you're not paying attention in video. Bring this to school. Put it in your binder, your multi-letter binder, as soon as you're done with it, and bring it here so I can look through and find my book because I need it. All right, open up to page 15. Now, where were they headed? They were headed to a meeting, and it was very, very dark, and they finally got there. All right, we're going to start right here after, right here where it says a walk. All right. A walk of some length, what does that mean? It means it wasn't a very short walk. It was some length, it was a distance, right? So it's not like just walking from here across the street. They had to walk for a long time. And over a rough road. So was it smooth? You know, we can walk at night here in town, in the city, because we have the sidewalks. But theirs were just dirt paths. It was a rough road. It means it was rocky and had holes in it and all kinds of stuff. I remember when I was a kid and I was in Panama. You want to see where Panama is? Let me show you real fast. And I'll give you an example. Remember I told you in Panama is in, you have North America, South America, and right here is Central America, part of North America. Right here, that little country right there is Panama. And Panama has mountains, but down in this area, close to Colombia, it has jungles. Now, my parents were missionaries, and so sometimes we would take groups into the jungles or up into the mountains, and sometimes we were walking at night, and the road was rough. I mean, there are holes and dips and everything like that, so I know what she's talking about. And we had to walk many times with a flashlight. That's all we had, and it was completely dark, right? We just had a flashlight, so we used to do that. But this is what they were doing, and it wasn't a short walk. It was a walk of some length. Brought them at last to the little meeting house where the church members belonging to the Methodist Church were in the habit of attending. Now notice it says habit. It doesn't mean they just attended sometimes. It means it was a regular thing, wasn't it? They were there rather late, and the service had begun. But kind Farmer Evans made room for them on his bench and found for Mrs. Jones a place in the Psalms book. Turn to page 16. Okay, we're on page 16. Psalms book from which the little group had been singing. So the Psalms book was a little bitty book that some of the churches had, and it had the Psalms in it, like the Psalms out of the Bible, and they would sing those. Those would be their worship songs. You know, today we sing songs from Hillsong and Elevation and Bethel and places like that, but all they sang were the songs from the Bible. So they could sing something like, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," or something like that. Don't tell me I'm singing good. But they would put melody and music and song to the Psalms so they could sing them as worship to God, but they were singing straight out of the Bible. Okay, out of the Psalms book. It wasn't the whole Bible, it was just the book of Psalms. Mary was the only child there. Can you imagine going to service and you're the only child there in all the adults? How many of you would feel comfortable? Do you think Mary was uncomfortable? Let's see. But her face was so grave, and her manner, grave means serious, and her manner so solemn. Solemn is quiet and respectful, and reverent, which means respectful, that no one looking at her could have felt that she was out of place. So was she acting like a little kid? Was she acting like a child? Was she making noise and playing around and, "Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom, and how much longer? Can we watch dinner?" Was she doing all that? No. What does it say about her? She was solemn and reverent. Her face was grave, means she wasn't like acting all goofy. She was very solemn and calm, respectful of the place that they were in. so that it didn't seem weird to have her there. All the adults just accepted her because she knew how to act properly. See, boys and girls, in this world, in this day and time, there are children who know how to act the right way in some places, and they don't know how to act the right way in other places. Some children are in service in the auditorium, and they act like it's just like their living room. They're standing on the seats, they're jumping around, they're screaming, they're laughing, they're talking loud without being respectful to others. You know, at your house, you can be loud, you can run, you can jump, you can sing, right? But when you're in service and there's other people trying to worship God or listen to the message, right? You can stay quiet. You'd be respectful of those around you. It's showing love to others. And this is exactly what Mary would do. She knew how to sit there, being grave, being solemn, being reverent, understanding that God's presence, even though it's everywhere, but at that point is a time when they're worshiping God. You know, when your family's at the table and you're praying for your food, are you already eating while your family's praying? Are you banging? You know, sometimes we're praying and Jude gets a spoon. He's banging the plate with his spoon. Bang, 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 while we're trying to pray. And we said to Jude, put your spoon down, close your eyes. We're praying. Be reverent. Be thankful for God's presence. Show respect for God's presence, right? Even though he's always with us, there's certain times when we're praying together or doing stuff together that we just need to be solemn. So notice that because even though she was a little girl, all the adults were fine with her being there because of how she acted. You see, boys and girls, if you know how to act the right way, then you can go almost anywhere. If you know when you're in certain places how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to conduct yourself, how to govern yourself the right way, you know what? Then you're going to find favor with God and man. You're going to be accepted into places where maybe other children aren't accepted because of your good behavior. Because you know how to govern yourself. You're going to have other opportunities that other people who can't govern themselves can have. Notice there weren't any other children there. But because Mary knew how to govern herself, knew how to respect what was going on, respect others, respect the time and the presence of the Lord, she was able to be there. The church members who met there from time to time had come to look upon this little girl as one of their number and welcomed her accordingly. She was accepted into the group. Even though they're adults and they have children and maybe grandchildren, here's this little girl, and they accept her into the group, right? Because she knew how to act the right way. And that's where we're going to end. That's a short scene, isn't it? But let's discuss that a little bit, okay? Let's just talk. I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can stand up. I want you to notice that this part where it says, remember, Mary was the only child there. But notice it said that they were a little meeting house. Was it a big church building? No, it was just a little place where people met together. Do you have to be in a big church to worship God? No, you can be in your own living room. You can be in a little bitty house with someone else. You could be sitting outside with 2 or 3 other people just worshiping and praising God. And Mary understood that the importance of being together, of worshiping God together. She understood how to act during that time. All right, so let's go over to our elements. Get out your 5 elements page. And again, I wrote them down for you. Today's going to be a little bit shorter. So notice we're on literature number 7, and I'm going to tilt this down just a little bit so that we can see all of our, I think we can see everything. Make sure we get it all in there. There we go. I think we got everything. So you can pause it whenever you need to. So we're going to talk about Mary. How does she act? What was the one thing about Mary in the way she acted? Remember, the characters are the people of the story, or animals, and the way they act. Her face was so grave and her manner so solemn and reverent. Reverent means respectful, realizing she's in a special environment. Solemn means she's just kind of calm, okay? She understood it was something serious, okay? And where was the setting? Hopefully you all got the setting. It was at the little meeting house. Of course, that's where this took place, at the little meeting house. Where's our plot? Now the plot are every scene has an event, and every event has a cause. It's the events that make up the story. It's the plot. So Farmer Evans made room for them on his bench and found Mrs. Jones the place in the Psalm book. So that's what happened. Now, why did he have to move over and make room for them? Why did he have to help her find her place in the book? Why didn't she know? Well, the cause was they were rather late and the service had begun. So they got there late, didn't they? Now, Why did they get there late? We could find the cause of them getting there late. Was, remember, in the first scene 1, Mary had to go get the lamp. Why did she have to get that other lamp? Because what was broken on her lamp? That's right. The latch was broken. So she had to go borrow a lamp. It took her a long time. And then they had to walk a long ways. And it was so dark, they had to walk carefully because it could have been dangerous. But because they were rather late and the service had begun, the meeting had already started. So Farmer Evans scooted over so that they could sit down beside him. Now, we're not going to have any style, so just leave style blank this time. Okay? Now, for the leading idea, reverence for God. So we're going to use the same one. Her face was so grave and her manner solemn and reverent. See, boys and girls, we understand that she had reverence for God. She had respect for the Lord. She knew when it was time to play or talk or goof off or be silly or play jokes or whatever. But she also knew when it was time to be quiet, when it was time to listen, when it was time to think and meditate on God's word and meditate on the things that God was doing. It shows a reverence for God. All right, so these are your 5 elements. You can pause it and copy them down and turn them into me, and we'll get back with you next Monday for the next scene. Now remember, boys and girls, please bring your books. Put your book in your multi-subject binder and bring them to school on Friday. All right, have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.